something.
Get a second binder because like these are just.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Superintendent Doherty, do you have a discussion for us?
Absolutely, thank you. Good evening, everyone, and as everyone knows, our students and staff are back in our classrooms for the start of the 2022-23 school year. Other than a minor bus fender bender yesterday at dismissal, our first 2 days have been actually pretty smooth. It's always good to have students in our building. The atmosphere the first 2 days, it's been very positive, it's been full of excitement and lots of enthusiasm. You know, I'm thrilled to have our campus alive again. It's going to be a great school year. I'd like to thank our maintenance, custodial, and clerical staff for their outstanding work this summer. Our buildings were ready for students because of them. I'd also like to congratulate our school board, Tunkhannock Area Education Association, and both negotiating teams on reaching and approving a new contract. And I'm thrilled to have a contract resolved prior to the start of the year. Last school year, we had over 70 students participate in the high school dual enrollment programs through Keystone College and Lackawanna College. In total, our students earned 428 college credits. That represents a significant savings to our families, and many of our students will leave Tunkhannock with a significant amount of college credits already earned. If parents wanted more information to learn how to get their children, the high school children, involved in the dual enrollment courses, they should reach out to the high school guidance department. As a reminder to our families, staff, and community members, we will be offering a vaccine clinic at the Intermediate Center on Saturday, September 10th, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. My friends at Hometown Healthcare of NEPA are going to offer routine immunizations as well as flu and COVID vaccines to students, families, staff, community members, anybody that's interested. I'm hopeful that by offering this immunization clinic, we won't have to exclude any students that are missing required immunizations. We want to give them every opportunity to stay in school. Anyone without insurance will be vaccinated completely free of charge. Fall athletics are back in full swing. In season right now are boys and girls golf, boys and girls soccer, boys and girls cross country, girls varsity tennis, girls volleyball, field hockey, and football. Golf, tennis, and football are in action tomorrow. Field hockey and girls soccer are playing on Saturday. I wish all of our athletes and coaches the best of luck for a safe and very successful season. I'm very excited to announce that we are bringing the DARE program back to our 5th grade students. DARE is a great program that is utilized throughout our country. Each school year, millions of school children benefit from DARE, which stands for Drug Abuse Resistance Education. It's a highly acclaimed program that gives kids the skills they need to avoid involvement in drugs, gangs, and violence. DARE was founded back in 1983 and has proven to be so successful that it has been implemented in thousands of schools throughout the United States. It is a police officer-led series of classroom lessons that teaches children how to resist peer pressure and live productive drug and violence-free lives. Under my direction, our Director of Security, who does a great job, Rich Seberg, has been working with county officials and local law enforcement to get the DARE program started again. County officials have also asked that I share the announcement that the 15th annual Grandparents Raising Grandchildren Conference will be held on Friday, October 21st at the Woodlands Resort in Wilkes-Barre. In our district, we have a fair amount of students that are being raised primarily by their grandparents. This conference will provide grandparents with information on how to access countywide community services and programs. Earlier today, I received some information from PASBO, which stands from the Pennsylvania Association of School Board Officials, that may significantly help some community members. I'm happy to share that Pennsylvania is offering eligible senior citizens and people with disabilities an increased rebate through this year's property tax rent rebate program. Senior citizens and people with disabilities that meet the income guidelines are eligible for an additional $455 in property tax or rent rebate thanks to a one-time infusion of additional funds in the 2022-23 state budget. And I'll be sharing additional information from PASBO that I received on our district website. Finally, this evening, I'd like to share some of the goals I set for myself for this upcoming school year. The first of which, and I shared all these with the entire staff in Monday at an in-service, we're going to move beyond COVID and return to having a full academic focus. You know, the last few years have been difficult, but it's now time to give full attention to student academic growth. The second goal I set for myself is to continue building strong, positive relationships with stakeholders. That's students, families, teachers, paras, all staff members, all community members, local businesses. You know, forging and maintaining good relationships goes a long way to helping our students and preventing larger issues. My third goal is something that actually is a goal for myself every day. It's been my mission for many, many years, and that's to help and serve other people. It's something I truly believe in, and my goal has always been and will continue to be on a daily basis, helping people. My next goal is to maintain make sure I maintain accessibility. I enjoy meeting and talking with people, and I really enjoy working with people and finding solutions. And finally, my last goal is to always remain fully transparent, to follow our board policies, and to be fiscally responsible to our taxpayers. You know, I want everyone to know, and I know I've said this before, but I'm extremely thankful to be given the opportunity to lead our school district. You know, since starting 6 months ago, I'm already 6 months in, you know, I've been met with kindness and encouragement from our entire school community. It's clear to me that accepting the superintendent position was the right choice. I love being here. This is a great district. As I stated to our entire staff this past Monday, our district does many things exceptionally well, and I've witnessed firsthand how we always prioritize our students and families. You know, Tuncanac's culture is one of focusing on students and community needs. You know, that's something that's very special and makes me extremely proud. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak.
No, that's public comment is coming up next, though. There's more information available online. Okay. So we met, let it be on the record that the board met in executive session prior to this meeting tonight to discuss personnel matters as related to specific employees and to discuss status on legal cases of George Uhas versus TASD 2022-19 and George Uhas and Bella Canella versus TASD 2022-113. With that, the next portion will be public comment. We will not, if somebody wants an expanded answer on a situation or a question, we would ask that you email that in. We aren't going to go back and forth tonight. There will be 2 public comment periods. The first will be on agenda items at in the agenda. The second will be on non-agenda items or anything else at the end of the meeting. There's a 4-minute limit per person per public comment period. When it is your turn to speak, please come to the microphone, state your name, municipality, and which agenda items you are speaking about. All speakers must be residents, taxpayers, students, or staff of the TASD. To object to a board action under Title 65, Part 2, Chapter 7, also known as the Sunshine Act, please go to the mic, state your name, as well as the section and subsection of the Chapter 7 you believe is being violated. The presiding officer and or district solicitor, in this case it will be district solicitor, will make a determination on the stated objection and that determination is final for our purposes here tonight. And with that, if there's any comments on board agenda items, please come to the microphone.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Birdie. I have 2 students in the high school, Northmoreland Township. At the last school board meeting, I had requested that it be put on the agenda to discuss and vote on having an all-call just to communicate the school board meetings, but I don't see that on the agenda. I guess nobody cares? Okay. Can it be added?
We decided not to do that at this time.
So I can't get that added to the agenda?
No, the community does not set the agenda for the meetings. Any other public comment on agenda items?
Mr. Doherty, I'm sure you don't like being muzzled, and I'm sorry you're being muzzled for that simple question. It says superintendent discussion. We'll discuss it some other time, and I'll find a way to get the answer from you, and then I'll go ahead and make it public next time I'm here, since she's trying to muzzle you like she's muzzling everybody because they're afraid to speak. So my objection to the minutes, this is going to be referring to the So my letter that was given to me via council to the school board president, to me, rights and responsibilities for doing objection. Number one, I'm supposed to give specificity to identify to the board the specific sunshine violation and the violation, because some of y'all don't know it, so I got to make sure everybody knows it. Then I got to give you a brief description of the violation, and then you either deny it or you remedy it, saying, oh, let's stop this, let's not do this, let's do that. So you're either going to come up with a remedy as an arbor of 9, or you're going to let him deny it, and then we just nicely go on to the next notice. So this is going to be involving the tax, the railroading of the tax increase. So even though you all might think you know that what was going on, we've done it before, we all said, why are we making a big deal? I didn't know, so it's a big deal. You guys didn't nullify, you guys first adopted a 0 tax increase back in April. You didn't nullify that resolution before you proposed a new resolution of 2 mills. You proposed that 2 mills on June 27th. You're supposed to have 30-20-10 in between proposing and then adopting. So you couldn't have done 30-20-10 because you both proposed it on the 27th and 1 minute later you adopted it. You should have asked the Pennsylvania Department of Education for an extension to just do it properly. So people had 30, 20, and 10 days to interact with you. But instead, it looks like it got railroaded. Whether you intended it or not, some will argue some that railroaded. Some don't know what's going on, so you didn't do it on purpose. But the maximum law is you did it. If it's done and you're on the board, you're part of it. So you guys did not do it properly, and that's going to be, I'm adding to that, so I'm adding to that objection. So it needs to be denied or it needs to be remedied. That you didn't nullify the 0% tax increase that happened back in April. So right now we have 2 proposals on the table and you adopted one but you never nullified the other, and that's what I couldn't get out of you that night. So are you guys still denying that you did not improperly impose that tax increase in that budget with the 2% tax increase? Are we denying it? Are you guys going to remedy it? You have one or the other. So I'm going to sit here all day. This is my time. It's my objection. So I will literally sit here in what I think you call, oh, what do they call it when you sit around for hours? It's going to be me. So you're either going to deny this claim or you're going to remedy it. And someone's going to stand up and say, you know what? Let's ask if we can go redo this and fix it. Because the maximum...
You're stating that this is an objection right now?
This is still my objection. My objection is still this.
Denied.
I added that you didn't nullify. Did you nullify?
Denied. You'd asked for a
Okay.
denied or remedy. It's denied.
Okay, did you nullify?
So do you have a public comment?
So my second objection is you didn't nullify the 0. Are you denying you didn't nullify the 0, or are you going to remedy that you didn't nullify? You can create that resolution right now.
Denied.
So you're denying that you did not, please tell me what you're denying.
Your objection.
So my objection is you did not know, think about what you're saying before you say
I'm
it.
100% confident. Do you have?
You did not.
Your objection
My
is denied.
objection, here's my
Do you have a public comment on an
I'm
agenda
about
item?
to give specificity, so please, it's my
I'm
time.
crystal clear.
Here's my specificity.
Microphone,
You
please.
did not.
Okay. Do we have any other public comment on agenda items? Are you waiting to give public comment on agenda items? Okay, microphone, please.
You know, I'm going to let someone else go. I'll come back up in a minute. I'm not prepared.
Is there any other public comment on agenda items? Okay, seeing none, we will move along with the meeting. Item number 5, approval of minutes.
Motion to approve minutes, July and August.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Yes. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Bennett? Yes. Mrs. Eckert?
Yes.
Mr. Franco? Yes. Mrs. Goebel?
Yes.
Dr. Pravola?
Yes.
Mr. Widener?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Farr?
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold?
Yes. Item 6, business and finance. Do we have a motion to approve items 1 through 6?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Eckert?
Yes.
Mr. Franco? Yes. Mrs. Goebel?
Yes.
Dr. Pravola?
Yes.
Mr. Widener?
No.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mrs. Bennett? Mr. Farr?
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold?
Yes. Item 7, superintendent's report.
Thank you. I'd like to recommend a resolution be adopted approving the personnel report as presented, but before we go to a motion, perhaps, and John, help me out, or Attorney Audi, if I say this wrong, but I'd like to entertain, I guess, a friendly motion to separate and vote separately on the volunteers, as Dr. Perbola is again volunteering his time to help our students, and you know, I certainly wouldn't want him to have to abstain from hiring staff.
Okay. So does somebody want to make a motion to amend the agenda to separate out the volunteer list from the rest of the personnel report?
I'll make that
Motion to
motion.
approve.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? This is a motion and discussion just to amend the agenda. Bill Widener. Okay. Roll call, please.
Mr. Franco? Yes. Mrs. Goebel?
Yes.
Dr. Pravola?
Yes, you can vote to amend the agenda. Yeah.
Okay, yes.
Mr. Widener?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mrs. Bennett? Yes. Mrs. Eckert?
Yes.
Mr. Farr?
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold?
Yes. So the first, then, I think you just go with the personnel report first.
Yeah, recommend a resolution be adopted approving the personnel report for all hiring. This does not include volunteers.
Do we have a
To
motion?
approve.
Motion to approve is stated, what I heard.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Mrs. Goebel?
Yes.
Dr. Pravola?
Yes.
Mr. Widener?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mrs. Bennett? Yes. Mrs. Eckert?
Yes.
Mr. Franco?
Yes.
Mr. Farr?
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold?
Yes.
And the second part of that, I recommend a resolution be adopted approving the personnel report, the volunteers on the personnel report.
So moved as the superintendent stated.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? I don't know, that Perbola guy. All right, a roll call, please.
Dr. Pravola?
Abstain.
Mr. Widener?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mrs. Bennett? Yes. Mrs. Eckert?
Yes.
Mr. Franco?
Yes.
Mrs. Goebel?
Yes.
Mr. Farr?
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold?
Yes.
The second item, a recommended resolution be adopted approving conference attendance as listed. Deborah Sherman, Leadership for Learning in the Classroom, $885. Paul Doherty, Superintendent's Academy, Part 1, Strategic and Cultural Leadership, Part 2, Systems Leadership, $1,550. I just want to point out for the board, this is a requirement for the maintenance of my commission.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Having a motion and a second, any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Weidner?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mrs. Bennett? Mrs. Eckert?
Yes.
Mr. Franco?
Yes.
Mrs. Goebel?
Yes.
Dr. Pervola?
Yes.
Mr. Farr?
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold?
Yes. I don't believe we've had any committee meetings. Do we need to schedule any? Okay. There's nothing under unfinished business, so we're on to item 10, new business. Item number 1, we have the update on the right to know requests.
Yes, you caught me unprepared there for a second. Thank you. An update, there was 7 right-to-know requests received thus far for 2022-23. 2 additional right-to-knows were received since our last board meeting. Out of the 7, 6 have been fulfilled or partially denied. 1 right-to-know request is yet to be fulfilled. Currently, there's no outstanding appeals with the Office of Open Records. During the 21-22 school year, we spent $64,501 on attorney's fees to vet our responses, and 96 right-to-know requests were processed during the 21-22 school year.
Okay, any discussion on that? Okay, item 2 is the TASD Visa account is there for your information and perusal. Item 3, recommend that a resolution be adopted approving dual enrollment agreements as listed with Keystone College, Lackawanna College, and University of Scranton.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? As Paul mentioned in the beginning, students who are interested in participating in the dual enrollment program should be contacting their school guidance counselors in the high school. Can we get a roll call, please?
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mrs. Bennett? Mrs. Eckert?
Yes.
Mr. Franco?
Yes.
Mrs. Goebel?
Yes.
Dr. Pervola?
Yes.
Mr. Weidner?
Yes.
Mr. Farr?
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold?
Yes. Item 4, recommend that a resolution be adopted approving student teaching and affiliation agreements as listed with Liberty University, Keystone College, and Misericordia University.
Motion to approve.
Any discussion? It's nice to see this list growing longer.
Agreed.
All right, roll call, please.
Mrs. Bennett? Yes. Mrs. Eckert?
Yes.
Mr. Franco?
Yes.
Mrs. Goebel?
Yes.
Dr. Pervola?
Yes.
Mr. Weidner?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Farr?
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold?
Yes. Item 5, recommend that a resolution be adopted approving a service agreement with Boost Lingo Professional Interpreter Network to provide instantaneous over-the-phone translation services. The cost is $95 per month. Initial commitment is 3 months, then month to month afterwards.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Eckert?
Yes.
Mr. Franco?
Yes.
Mrs. Goebel?
Yes.
Dr. Pervola?
Yes.
Mr. Weidner?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mrs. Bennett? Mr. Farr?
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold?
Yes. Item 6, recommend that a resolution be adopted approving a revised school calendar for the 2022-2023 school year. I can say that part of this is due to the teacher contract. There was a change. I'll let Mr. Doherty elaborate.
Absolutely. Tonight, for your consideration, I'm recommending a resolution be adopted approving the revised school calendar. It would have the last day of school being May 31st for students. In the new agreement with the association, there is now a 185-day school year for the association instead of 187. Therefore, we had to actually remove, 2 staff days. And we took one from June 1st. The other we added to the April break because I want to make sure we have some options if we have a late snowstorm, as we did this year, that we have some days that we could take back without affecting the end of the year. Certainly, that's open for any discussion, but this is the recommendation I'm making for the board this evening.
I think It's worth noting that in the new contract, the parent-teacher conference days will be half days for students. So where that used to be a day that students were home all day and that didn't count as a student day, it will now be an early dismissal. So parent-teacher conferences will then pick up probably around 1 o'clock or so, 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and go until 7 o'clock at night.
That's correct.
So that helped with the change in the calendar. As a board, I think that we want to keep graduation on a Friday. The question at this point becomes, do we shuffle things around in the year so that the last day of school is the 26th of May? Or do we leave it as is and have graduation on June 2nd, theoretically, or some other variation therein, so.
Well, I want to see graduation on a Friday. It depends on how the weather falls and how our days work out, whether we can take the buyout on a couple of days if we have to, or whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
We'll see that as we get to the end of the school year. We don't know what the weather's going to be.
yeah, we need to plan it now in the sense of, like, you know, the only way to do it on the 26th would be to add 2 days back into the calendar somewhere, but I don't see a really easy way to do that, to be honest with you, when I look at this calendar.
Paul, I have a question. We still have the flexible instruction days for...
We have 5.
Okay.
So essentially,
Okay.
if we so choose, if we have 5 snow days, those first 5 snow days could be flexible instruction days where work is done
And then
virtually.
we take from the calendar after that.
And that would be taken from the calendar somewhere after that.
So this calendar, like Mr. Widener said, gives us a little bit of leeway if we do have a bad winter, still keeping, if we want to, and I'm just proposing this, the Friday, June 2nd is graduation, kind of like it was this year,
Yeah.
as opposed to Memorial Day Friday.
Yeah, I mean, the only way that I can see to put it on the 26th would be you'd have to remove that, you know, April
this-
6th day that was added in, and then remove one of those days.
Like the
on
March 9th.
March 9th or 13th, or one of those two. But then you start to run the risk that, you know, Superintendent already brought up, if you have snow days, then you're going to push back there anyway. So, you know, I just look at that, and I hate to see just 2 days that last week. I don't know how to fix it, though, quite honestly, so I don't have a great suggestion. I just don't like it, but I don't know what to do about it.
Well,
You know,
John, we could add a few extra days out throughout the year and have Friday be the last day that week.
I mean, my first thought would be to add in March 8th as a day off and move the last day of school to June 1st. You know, I'm not sure, I don't really want to propose that today. I mean, I think I could just live with this calendar for now, and we think about it and come back to it in a month or two and see if we want to make an adjustment to it, you know.
You may have a better answer come March.
Yeah, we got to make that decision earlier, though, to make sure
Yeah,
people are
people are going
planning
to have
travel
plans for
plans.
March and April. Right.
Yeah, well, that, and we also, I think, need to have before March, we probably need to try and have a graduation date set, because there's so much that gets planned around that
We gotta
now,
plan
and
the
travel
all-night-
and all those
all-night
types of
party
things.
and all that stuff. Like, I almost think, you know, I think this looks good for me for now, and then let's come back to it maybe in a month or two
And we still
try to
have
get
to,
it
we
finalized.
still have to keep the instructional days at 180 for students,
Yes,
and we still have to have the seniors get 990 hours.
correct.
So there's some statutes that we have to look at as well.
Yeah.
And June
I don't
2nd
think I
too
have all
early.
the information today to make an intelligent recommendation. Sorry, Phil.
June 2nd isn't a fairly early graduation date.
Right.
It's the same as it was this year. I think it was
Yeah.
June 2nd this year, June 1st or
Yep.
something.
So I'm in favor, I'm in favor, just for discussion purposes, for the data that we have tonight,
Yep.
and the request of Mr. Doherty, I think this is fine.
And we have a 2-day cushion if, you know, there's floods, or if we didn't have any snow last year, we're probably due, like all that kind of stuff.
You got your Farmer's Almanac out, Holly.
Listen, you already accused me of being my Aunt Ada, so,
Yeah.
okay. Well, does anybody want to make a motion?
So moved,
Second, as the calendar stands right now,
Okay.
as presented.
As presented, yeah.
Any other discussion?
now you would have to look at it back in towards the spring, because you can't outdo Mother Nature. I can remember back working here when we had school off for over a whole week at a time through the blizzards, 93 and 96. And you just can't predict that right now.
Farmer's Almanac can. All right,
I go with Phil. Groundhog.
the groundhog, oh, okay. All right, any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Franco?
Yes.
Mrs. Goebel?
Yes.
Dr. Pavola?
Yes.
Mr. Widener?
Yes,
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mrs. Bennett? Yes. Mrs. Eckert?
Yes.
Mr. Farr,
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold.
Yes. Item 7, recommend that a resolution be adopted approving Conrad Siegel Actuaries for the 2022 ACA employer reporting. We're required to have a contractor for this. This is not new. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Goebel,
Yes.
Dr. Perbola,
Yes.
Mr. Weidner,
Yes.
Mr. Burke,
Yes.
Mrs. Bennett,
Yes.
Mrs. Eckert,
Yes.
Mr. Franco,
Yes.
Mr. Farr,
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold.
Yes. Item 8, recommend that a resolution be adopted approving application and certification for payment number 1 to ATT Sports, Inc. for track resurfacing in the amount of $123,795.
Motion to approve, and I'll say the track looks really fantastic.
Great. Any other discussion?
I have a quick question. How frequently does that get resurfaced? Like, is it every 10 years or?
I think it's like,
It's every 4 or 5, I believe,
Yeah.
right?
I've been on the board since 15, and this is the second time.
Okay.
And we did it like the first year, I think I was on the board.
Okay.
Is this the total cost? I mean, I'm looking at the,
It says payment at 1.
it says payment 1, but Todd, yeah, off the top of your head? Because I think I recall the last time, it was about 120,000 the last time too. So, okay. If we could just look into that, I mean,
I will. I'll verify that.
Okay. Any other discussion? Do we have a roll call?
Dr. Perbola,
yes.
Mr. Weidner,
Yes.
Mr. Burke,
Yes.
Mrs. Bennett,
Yes.
Mrs. Eckert,
Yes.
Mr. Franco,
Yes.
Mrs. Goebel,
Yes.
Mr. Farr,
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold.
Yes. I think the item that we were just talking about on 112, it does to me look like that was the total contract sum.
Okay.
Okay, recommend that, number 9, recommend that a resolution be adopted approving a budget transfer for special education as presented.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Weidner,
Yes.
Mr. Burke,
Yes.
Mrs. Bennett,
Yes.
Mrs. Eckert,
Yes.
Mr. Franco,
Yes.
Mrs. Goebel,
Yes.
Dr. Perbola,
Yes.
Mr. Farr,
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold.
Yes. Item number 10, recommend that a resolution be adopted approving the use of TASD schools by the American Red Cross in the event of a disaster as forecasted by the Farmer's Almanac.
Motion to approve, and that would have to be worked out with the administration depending on the weather and the time of year.
Right. Clearly, for the record, the Farmer's Almanac comment was facetious. Do we have a second?
Second.
Roll call. Oh, any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Burke,
Yes.
Mrs. Bennett,
Yes.
Mrs. Eckert,
Yes.
Mr. Franco,
Yes.
Mrs. Goebel,
Yes.
Dr. Perbola,
Yes.
Mr. Weidner,
Yes.
Mr. Farr,
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold.
Yes. Item 11, recommend that a resolution be adopted approving the donation of surplus metal shelving removed from Evans Falls and Mill City and currently stored at the Mahopany Building to Triton Hose Company.
I just want to point out, President, that this is metal shelving that was removed during the consolidation and was just moved to Mahopany and has not been utilized in any way, shape, or form, and we currently don't have any plan to use them.
Sounds good.
So, this was brought to my attention, and I thought, this is probably a pretty good use for our neighbor.
So you're Marie Kondoing the Mahopany Building?
Yeah, we're going to do something.
Sounds good. All right. So do we have a motion in a second?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Bennett,
Yes.
Mrs. Eckert,
Yes.
Mr. Franco,
Yes.
Mrs. Goebel,
Yes.
Dr. Perbola,
Yes.
Mr. Weidner,
Yes.
Mr. Burke,
Yes.
Mr. Farr,
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold.
Yes.
I have a question, Holly. How much more stuff do we have left at Mahopany?
More than you would probably think. Like, one whole wing has classrooms there's a lot up there.
Okay.
I mean, we could work on getting an inventory there. I've been there a few times, and it's,
No, I was just wondering,
There's
because
a
I
lot.
know that Shane was working on it, and then just was curious.
yeah, I mean, during my first tour of the building, and because Hands is utilizing part of it, and Head Start, and then you walk into the other wing, and the rooms are filled with materials.
I think that's during COVID shutdown, we had to put, what, K1 and 2 back there for a while, for a
We
year,
did.
right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to open the floor to the second public comment period. Again, it's 4 minutes, and we won't be going back and forth, so if you have specific details of questions that you have for things, I would recommend emailing them to the superintendent or the board, or the staff that was responsible for that item.
Again, my name is Jennifer Birdie. So I just wanted to, I'm not sure where it was actually originated from or not, but very first day of school, before I was even home to, ask my kids how the first day went, I'm getting texts like, hey mom, a whole bunch of kids are reaching out and want you to bring it up to the school board. So that's why I'm here tonight. Plus, I know that, my children were affected and negatively from this. So on the very first day of school, they were all brought in, I guess, told that they were no longer allowed to carry backpacks, any purses, any gym bags or anything like that in between any of their classes. And after talking to my two daughters, so they're both at the age where, they have things that happen with them where they would need to carry personal items on them. Pockets nowadays in girls' pants are about that big. Very hard to hide, things like tampons and pads and stuff like that. So they're like, yeah, how do you even carry anything like that between classes? Because we hardly have enough time now to, get between classes. And when we go in to use the bathrooms, you got to kick people out because of vaping and everything. So that just makes that like all the more difficult. So that's one of the things that was brought up. I had a couple other parents ask me about that as well. Like, was that even thought about? But then also my younger daughter who's here, I don't know if she's going to get up and talk or not about this, but she actually has 5 classes before she has a break in her school day, where her locker is on the opposite side of where her classes are. So she has a hard time now, like actually getting to class on time without even stopping at her locker, because the halls are now more crowded and it's harder to physically like just walk through the hallways to get to her class. So she was actually late for class today, not because she wasn't trying to be diligent or do the right thing, but because the hallway situation is now harder to walk through the hallways. And then the kids were talking, so, we go out, school starting, get new backpacks and everything else, and of course, I had no notice about this and no other parents did as well. But they get there and they can't physically fit their stuff from their backpack into the lockers. So when they open a locker, they're so narrow that they actually block 2 other lockers when they're doing that. So if they go to their lockers in between classes to switch out their stuff, they're actually blocking 2 other kids. So you may get to your locker where you only have 4 minutes and you're trying to hurry up and get through anyway, where you had to walk back to your locker. When you get there, your locker's blocked because somebody else next to you is in their locker and you're switching things out, and you can't actually do that and be on time for class. So for the last several years, they have been carrying backpacks as like a normal practice between things. So this was a surprise to the kids. I know a lot of kids were really, really disappointed, upset, aggravated and things like that on the very first day of class because that happened. And then I know that, a couple other things that were brought up is that when they got to their classrooms, so they actually get to their classrooms, and now the lockers aren't closing well, so the kids are slamming them and everything else. They can't hear. Teachers are having to go in and close doors and things like that just because of lockers. My daughter also brought up a very good point of, there's student council and there's different class committees and things like that. And she said, she sits on a couple of them. Nothing was ever brought up to them about like, hey, can we get your input to this? Is there anything that we should consider? And so it was just kind of a, disappointment that the students weren't involved in trying to solve any problem. But they actually weren't aware of the problem. So they had asked too, like, hey, we think it's for security, but we don't really understand why. So I have, those are kind of my comments about it. If the school board could take a look at that, or somebody in the administration, and just re-look at that, or maybe address some of those issues, I think it'd be very helpful to the students. And then I was also wondering if you guys were aware of the change for the backpack policy. I don't know if people on the school board were aware of the changes.
No, but we wouldn't normally be. That's building prerogative and management.
Okay. So if you could help in any manner, I think that would be helpful. And I think it might be helpful too that if people like saw any studies or proof that it's actually effective, I think that might go, a far way with the students, just so they could have a better understanding of why, because they feel that it's a major disruption. They don't feel the safety as the other part of that,
Thanks,
if that
Jen.
was the intent, assuming that was the intent.
Okay. Your time is up, sorry. Any other public comment?
Okay. So John, our solicitor, sits on boards, past and present, earns income from, and represents the very corporations and departments that you all should be protecting us from. I just need you guys to know that. I don't know if you've done a little background, okay? If you notice, he's proverbially neutered for a reason, as he should be, because he potentially has led you guys into bear traps, legal bear traps. Now he's leaving it up to Holly, and Holly immediately says she denies that she did not nullify the zero tax increase, when in fact she did not nullify the zero tax increase that was proposed 2 months earlier. And somehow she denied it. That's why she's not allowed to talk, and that's why he needs to talk, because she just fouled. You all foul as Maxim because you just sit there. Have your discussion. You're not allowed to discuss this stuff in groups outside of here. There's only 7 things you can talk in private about. Freaking open your mouth. Somebody say, hey, point of order. Holly, what do you mean you deny that? We did not nullify the zero tax increase. Somebody. One of my board members. Somebody. The silencing doesn't work because you don't get to discuss nothing in private. Eventually you're going to try to discuss it in private, and then you're going to slip up, and that means you're going to break another sunshine. Just discuss this stuff. When it's clear that you didn't nullify the zero, does anybody remember nullifying the zero that night? You didn't. But it was there, so you have 2 on the books. So which one are you taking? You proposed 2, you adopted 1, never nullified the other. Pretty simple. We've been traveling across Pennsylvania and United States, but Pennsylvania mostly, and we can see what's rolling across the state, specifically IU-18. We're concerned about some new grants that are coming. The last ESSER grant, you guys refused to put that on the website, the whole grant, the 7 to 8 page, because you get a lot of calls. So don't put it on there, because our superintendent will have to field a bunch of calls on some ugly stuff that's in there. Still not in there to today. Pertinent information by law should be available on the website if you have one. It's still not there. Please don't let them take bad grants. Read them thoroughly. If you don't want to read them, come to our group. We have hundreds of thousands of hours probably now, because we had tens of thousands 2 months ago, and we have more people. We'll read the grant for you. We'll highlight just the important stuff. If you're all too busy in your outside life and you can't research, we got them all highlighted for you. You can come to our meeting, and we meet once, twice a week, and all you have to do is read the important stuff that we're concerned about as your constituents and as parents of these kids that you guys are supposed to be protecting us from, as he's both sitting on boards, representing, earned income from still to this day. So when he gives you all that stuff in the background, you have to ask yourself, what the hell, should we trust him? We still have an attorney that's willing to protect anybody up on that board from any lie or lawsuit that he says may come to you if you don't do this thing. They'll still represent you for free, because it's not going to happen. That's why they're going to represent you for free. And they're probably 1 or 2 of the top attorneys for transparency in government in Pennsylvania. So we provide the oversight here, and we go across and we do it for others too. Earlier, I mixed up my speaking because I gave 2 objections to 1 agenda item, so I too was caught off guard, and I gave 2 objections instead of that, so I apologize. Please, board, for the love of God, somebody do something. When you know it's wrong, say point of order, because right now she seems like she's everything. Before it sounded like he was everything, now it sounds like she is. This is where you discuss it, and you force her to say, wait a minute, what do you mean deny? We didn't nullify it. Can we just nullify it here right now tonight? Be done with that one? That's all you have to do. So please do research.
Any other public comment?
Good evening, Board, and good evening, Administration. I've been asked to speak on behalf of a few of our leaders. I'm asking for all of my comments and words to be put on record for the minutes as both the public record and historical records. I will provide a copy to the Secretary. Let the record state the last friendly notice has arrived. The most recent findings, and sorry I didn't say my name, Sheila Donnelly from Tunkhannock Township. The most recent findings and what has been learned will have very dire implications to unlawful board members and their way of life, just as their unlawful and their illegal actions have very dire implications to the good people of Tunkhannock Area School District, Wyoming County, and their lives. So far this year with the new administration, any requests that were made or any notices of error that were made to the administration went promptly under review and any errors found were corrected. Never did this administration simply yield, but did their research, did their homework, and came back with changes to correct their errors, remedies if you would. However, the board has resisted accepting fault and remedying their errors. After all legal notices and remedies given, we do not get the same response with this board of government officials. This affects decorum, the order, and the lawfulness of this board and its open meetings. As John Audie, the solicitor, routinely states, one time with great theater and drama, he leaned into his microphone and at a low and slow cadence, he bellowed into a quiet auditorium with a very amplified deep voice. We have rules for a reason. We would like to state here publicly now to claim partnership on any t-shirts made and sold with that saying on it, we have rules for a reason. Marketing over. The ask is of you board members to please get right or get off the board. We have rules for a reason. We're coming to an election period. It is our hope, and with some effort, unlawful and illegal behavior will help rid this board of its bad or lazy actors, or allow them to get right with the people and become lawful members. Without exception, anyone you meet in Wyoming County will tell you they want no crimes committed against them. Even those in extreme disagreement or in opposition would tell you, quote, for the love of God, quit breaking the law. Even if 900 of you most staunch constituents support a resolution that happens to be unsuspectingly illegal or unlawful, and only one lone man or woman gives you legal notice of it being unlawful or illegal and demands you follow the law, then you follow the law, or dire consequences ensue for those who broke the law and for those who allow the law to be broken, which is a maxim of law and never to be repealed by any court. So please quit breaking the law, quit breaking your own policies, quit breaking your oath of office. It potentially only took you 30 seconds to 3 minutes to recite and to be confirmed by your oath. But your oath of office didn't stop there. Your oath of office is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, from the moment you are confirmed to the moment you are released from your duties. We beg you to get right or get off the board. We originally wrote, we believe, but we would like to affirm we know for any one school board member not getting right and staying on the board, then who is continuously unlawful to the people of Wyoming County and to the Tunkhannock Area School District, you will be held liable and culpable for any of your and all of your wrongdoings. This we swear. Do your homework, research your duties, research your policies, get right or get off the board. We would love to get back to education and potentially make our school district a destinational school district again, laying the foundation for a destinational county one day where we are all thriving and self-reliant. God bless Tunkhannock Area School District. God bless Wyoming County. Thank you.
Any other public comment on agenda items? Any other comments from the board or administration?
Holly, I'd like to take a minute and just maybe have a moment of silence for Mr. Hannon, who coached the girls' team that come in to be in our high school softball team. I did not know the man personally, but with the write-up I saw in the paper and everything, and when I've seen him at games, I think we should have a moment of silence for the man.
I couldn't agree more. Why God chose that Tim Hannon wasn't going to be here anymore, I will never understand. I know there's other board members up here that are familiar with the family and their girls, and it's incredibly unfair, if unfair is the right word, but our community suffered a great loss with the passing of Tim Hannon. So Absolutely. If there's no other, are there any other board comments? I don't want to go to a moment of silence and then come back to something else.
Yeah, I'd like to say, I not coached with Tim, but had coaching and athletic interaction, but beyond that, he's just a super guy, but he also worked for us. And I've known him for over 20 years, even before. So it just, you know, my heart's broken and I don't want to just
Yeah.
go missing.
If there's no other board or administration comment, let's have a moment of silence for Tim Hannon and keep his wife Danielle and his girls in your prayers as they work through this time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Adjourn.